现在我们所处脚下是原所在村。
This is Xinmo village in Maoxian County, China. Early on Saturday, tons of earth and debris came crashing down from the side of a mountain, while many villagers were still sleeping. The area had been deluged by days of heavy rain. The state broadcaster says 500 people, including the military, are now helping in the rescue operation. Heavy machinery and sniffer dogs have also been brought in. But rescuers often have to resort to more crude and simple methods. Workers say they've detected signs of life beneath the rubble and are desperately trying to reach survivors. After a few hours, they had managed to pull a young couple and their baby from the debris. They are now in hospital.
We heard a strange noise at the back of our house, and it was a bit loud. Wind was blowing into the room, so I wanted to close the door. When we came out, the water flow washed us away instantly.
A weather alert is in place for Maoxian County, with rainstorms forecast for the next few days. That would make rescue operations even more difficult. Emergency workers will also have to work on clearing a 2-kilometer stretch of a river that's been blocked to prevent any secondary disasters. Florence Louis, Al Jazeera, Beijing. The search and rescue operation in Xinmo village has intensified. The military, firefighters and volunteer groups are all working to reach people buried beneath the mud and debris. Saturday's landslide dumped around 8 million cubic meters of earth and rock, enough to fill more than 3,000 Olympic-sized swimming pools, onto this tiny village. But more than a day later, hopes of finding more survivors are slim.
According to the geologists who have participated in the rescue operations, the chances of the missing people surviving a landslide from such a height are small, particularly because the landslide site is so narrow that large-scale search operations are hard to conduct in the area.
Rescuers also have to be careful they don't trigger another avalanche of mud and rocks. The Chinese military has stopped people who aren't involved in emergency operations from heading there. 12 kilometers outside of Xinmo village, volunteer teams park their trucks next to a roadside restaurant and prepare to trek in, hoping to help find more survivors. People from the area lacking expertise and technical equipment do what they can and bring food and water for rescue workers. This is as close as we can get to Xinmo village. From here you can see where the mountain collapsed. This area was also struck by a massive earthquake in 2008 that killed nearly 90,000 people. Some geologists have questioned whether the earthquake may have caused the slope to become more vulnerable. Local officials have said heavy rains caused the landslide, but the focus now is on finding survivors. Florence Louis, Al Jazeera, Maoxian County, Sichuan Province, China.
Torrential rain has battered provinces of Jiangxi, Guizhou and Zhejiang in southern China, affecting hundreds of thousands of people and causing heavy economic losses. The northern part of Jiangxi was pounded early on Saturday morning. 4 people were buried under a collapsed house after a landslide. In Guizhou, over 800,000 people were affected after heavy rain hit on Thursday. So far, more than 50 counties in Guizhou have been soaked. Zhejiang is suffering from its heaviest flood in 60 years. Rescuers are helping residents evacuate.
Mira, mira. Hostia puta. Dios. La flama, Guillo, la flama, la flama.
No, ya, estoy quemando. Te voy a cerrar esto, ¿eh?
Tierra, tierra.
Oh. A la vez.
Ah, mire.
¿Y dónde vamos a meter nosotros ahora?
Madre mía, madre mía.
Vete. Vete. Que se ve el camino.
Y el calor, la Virgen.
Sí, como salta aquí, tío. Te ha saltado, mira, mira, te ha saltado. Mira, te ha saltado.
A la cola.
A la cola.
A wildfire has forced more than 2,000 people to flee homes, campsites and hotels in southwest Spain. The flames have reached the protected zone around a national park famed for its biodiversity, with strong heat and wind hampering efforts to bring it under control. The blaze broke out on Saturday night near Huelva in the Andalusia region and may have been started deliberately, according to Spanish media reports. The mass evacuation came as Spain seeks to avoid the human tragedy seen in neighbouring Portugal, where a forest fire claimed over 60 lives last week. Fears are growing for the Doñana National Park, a UNESCO World Heritage Site that's home to numerous endangered species, including the Iberian lynx and the Spanish imperial eagle.
В Сибири продолжается борьба с лесными пожарами. За выходные их площадь увеличилась почти в 2 раза. Наиболее крупный пожар в Северобайкальском районе. Там горит порядка 2000 гектаров. Всего власти и спасатели держат под контролем ситуацию в 11 районах республики. В общей сложности огнем в Бурятии уничтожено более 5000 гектаров леса. В регионе действует режим чрезвычайной ситуации.
Сегодня планируется задействовать авиацию МЧС России в авиапатрулировании и переброске десантников в Кабанском и Северобайкальском районах. Также на территории Бурятии задействованы межведомственные группы в патрулировании лесов. Патрульные группы проводят инструктажи, раздают памятки и напоминают гражданам о строгом запрете входа в лес.
Those dangerous tornadoes and floods causing major damage. ABC's Steve Osunsami is on the ground in hard-hit Fairfield, Alabama with more. Good morning, Steve.
Good morning to you, Robin. I'm standing in front of what's left of a state liquor store that took a direct hit. There's the whiskey aisle right there. The J&B and the Dewars are still standing on their shelves. But look at what happened to the poor bourbon. It was torn apart. All of this is a total loss. This town was caught by surprise by this storm. There were people inside these businesses at the time. This is what's left of an oil service station. As you can see, the walls were torn apart by the high winds.
For many, this was a rough night of wild weather across the South.
It just hit here in Fairfield. It was big, guys. It was really big.
A confirmed EF2 tornado came tearing through this small town just outside Birmingham, terrorizing families and destroying their businesses. 4 people were hurt. The only thing left standing here, these 2 shelves.
It lasted about 2 or 3 minutes and it was gone.
Even from a distance, you could see the 120-mile-an-hour winds. People here had to run for cover. The violent winds cut through power lines. This morning, more than 1,000 people here are still without power. What's left of Cindy is not going away quietly across the South. The strong winds plus the high tide added to the heavy rains were more than enough to flood this highway. And just off the coast of Pensacola, this water spout was spinning up less than a mile from shore.
Oh my Lord!
Authorities are still telling some families that they still need to leave their homes for higher ground. More than a foot of rain is soaking parts of Mississippi, leaving people in this neighborhood nearly underwater.
The water is up about 3 or 4 more feet than yesterday.
Even the fire ants are trying to beat the rain.
No one here was killed, and authorities say that is a blessing. They're encouraging anyone who doesn't need to be in this area to stay away. Many of the roads are still blocked. Robin?
Good recommendation there. All right, Steve, thank you. We're going to go to Ginger now, who has more on where the remnants of Tropical Storm Cindy are heading. Ginger?
Yes, and you can see right here where the center or the circulation of what's left of Cindy, still in northeast Arkansas, about to make its way through Memphis. That's the heavy rain, but heavy rain just part of the threat today. The flash flood threat from Huntington, West Virginia and Pittsburgh back to Jackson, Mississippi. Atlanta is still included, so you should not be surprised whatsoever if you see severe weather or flash flooding today anywhere in that region, because we've got that cold front squeezing together with the remnants, kind of absorbing that. It could reach heavy rains 1 to 2 inches even all the way to New York City here later tonight and early tomorrow. Don't forget, damaging winds still a threat. You could have a couple of those storm segments, really powerful winds.
Wildfires are spreading in the west as a heat wave sets records across California. The fires forced people to evacuate in Utah and Arizona. In Southern California, another fire shut down a busy freeway. This morning, at least 20 active wildfires are burning in western states. An excessive heat warning is in effect with temperatures in the triple digits. Jamie Yukas is in Canyon Country, California, where temperatures are expected to hit 101 degrees today. Jamie, good morning.
Good morning, Margaret. You can see this firehouse and the area surrounding it is that pink or reddish color. That's because fire retardant actually had to be dumped here when a wildfire got within just a few hundred feet of the building. While this wildfire is 50% contained, there are fires burning throughout the west amid a scorching heat wave.
Temperatures soaring above 100 degrees helped fuel this fast-moving wildfire, which quickly grew to 870 acres. It started when a truck caught fire on a freeway, shutting it down completely. Drivers were forced to make their way through thick clouds of smoke.
Cars were turning around, driving backwards on the freeway. They were pretty much just doing anything they wanted just to get away from the fire.
This is how Fire Station 150 looked from the air, covered in retardant, as planes made multiple drops to contain the fire. Still, a nearby ranch community was asked to evacuate, and officials say one commercial building was lost. Meanwhile, a fire that started more than a week ago in southern Utah grew to almost 67 square miles over the weekend, prompting the evacuation of some 1,500 people.
We're looking at another change in weather patterns, so a shift in winds, bringing some erratic winds with it, so tactics are changing accordingly.
And this is the ominous site south of Prescott, Arizona.
Looks like it's about half a mile from here right now.
The so-called Goodwin fire triggered evacuations in the mountain community of Pine Flat as the fire grew to 1,000 acres.
And anyone delivering the cross, a great cross!
And the heat wave hitting the west forced a last-minute schedule change in Oregon. Major League Soccer delayed the start of the Portland Timbers soccer match. An ESPN analyst shared this photo of the temperature on the field. 168 degrees.
Unbelievable, right? 168. That West Coast heat wave is expected to last a couple more days. It's lasted a week now. There is relief in sight, though. By Wednesday, temperatures throughout the region are supposed to moderate, Gail.
Wonder what moderation means when it's that hot. Thank you very much, Jamie. Thanks a lot.
Good evening. You're looking at what is supposed to be a park bench, and now it's completely submerged underwater. We're in Wellington County, where flooding has caused a state of emergency. Right now, I'm standing in a backyard, and like that park, it's completely underwater. Between me and the park is supposed to be a road, and it's been like this for part of the afternoon and evening, and today the mayor says it could get much worse, and the flooding has already forced dozens of evacuations. Hundreds of homes and businesses have been flooded in Palmerston, Clifford, and Harrison nearby. Several streets with nearby Harrison are also flooded, and the river has now breached the Young Street Bridge and flooded the surrounding areas. We spoke to Minto's mayor just moments ago. He says the town's emergency response is going smoothly.
It's probably as bad as Hurricane Hazel was in 1954. Maitland Valley has said it's probably a 100-year event. The good news is we've been practicing for this event for a long time, and it's working perfectly as far as what we can do is to get people out. We've our water rescue going well. People are getting out. There have been no injuries.
The mayor told us that in the span of 4 hours yesterday night, the area's got up to 8 inches of rain. Earlier, we spoke to resident Carl Conway, who said the water was lapping up to his front door when he was asked to evacuate by emergency crews. He left his home with just his phone in his hand.
My one neighbor, he lives in the house right beside, and he hasn't been told to evacuate yet, but he has got water coming in his basement, and he may be told to leave eventually, but he hasn't left yet. And like water, he lives right beside the river, so the water is getting up in his backyard too.
Now you can see that stream of water just continuing to come in, and the mayor says if it does rain, there could be more floods in effect and more evacuations. Now the OPP is telling residents to just stay away from the flooded roads, to turn away, not attempt to drive through them, not attempt to walk through them, as it can be dangerous. Now the flood watch was issued earlier this morning, with the local conservation authority saying the Maitland River has continued to rise, and the mayor says it's possible that it will continue to rise tonight and throughout the morning.
The prolonged drought in Korea is really starting to take a heavy toll on the entire country now. The continued lack of any substantial rainfall has caused reservoirs to dry up, prompting water shortages for residents and dealing a severe blow to the agriculture industry. Ian Shin has more.
Yeodang Reservoir, located in Chungcheongnam-do Province, has been known as the best fishing place in Central Korea for the past 2 decades. But due to lack of rain this year, the nation's largest reservoir has dried up. Instead of floating on water, fishing boats are just standing still on cracked earth. Severe drought has destroyed the habitats of the creatures that usually dwell in the reservoir, and the lack of water for agriculture has also damaged the local farming industry.
The field where I planted rice seeds is all dried out and cracked. I'm really hoping it rains soon.
Things aren't that much different in the nation's northeast Gangwon-do Province. In Hwangsong County, insects have unleashed a nightmare on the local residents. Greenery is fading away across the mountains and woodland. For a couple of weeks now, a plague of emperor moth caterpillars has been feeding on trees in the area and even plants inside greenhouses, affecting some 200 hectares. Plants attacked by these caterpillars die within a few weeks, especially in the hot, dry weather.
Due to the severe lack of rain, the damage from these caterpillars has been increasing. We're doing everything we can to minimize the damage, but it's been very difficult.
As the drought has been getting worse every year, experts are concerned that the damage this year may expand beyond agriculture across the country. Yin Xin, Arirang News.
Good afternoon. We are still experiencing a heat wave. In fact, it's going to be even hotter than yesterday. A heat wave warning has been issued in Gyeongsang-buk-do and Daegu, again, while advisories remain in place for many parts of the country. Seoul should see a high of 32 degrees Celsius, while Daegu will top out at 35 degrees under sunny skies and high UV levels. Seoul will see sporadic rain on Sunday afternoon, but unfortunately, it's not going to give us much relief from the heat.